Ladies and sinners, welcome to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_, IESR, at Cale_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. I'm sorry for the hiatus. I had a week-long vacation, much needed one. A lot of work, a lot of football. Too much family time. You guys know what I mean. Epic Thanksgiving dinner in a hotel. I'll explain that. A lot to talk about today, though. Hope your guys' Thanksgiving weekends were great. Hope you guys didn't go out and waste your money on Black Friday, because that's ridiculous, especially with Cyber Monday. Been a fun week so far, getting back. You guys know how it is, though. When you're going to vacation mode, it takes you a couple days to get out of vacation mode when you come back. Just got out of vacation mode, energy's up, feeling good. Really excited to talk tonight, not just because I had a week off, but there's a lot going on in Vegas. For example, are the Las Vegas A's really a thing? What's the catch? I stumbled across an article by the Nevada Public Radio, basically, talking about there's a possibility this might not go through. Las Vegas Golden Knights are still killing it. We'll touch base on that. Has Antonio Pierce done enough to earn the head coaching job for the Las Vegas Raiders? We'll discuss all that and more when we come back from the break. This is the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and sinners, to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. I'm a new man, too. Just so you folks know, I got engaged over the Thanksgiving weekend, or over the Thanksgiving week. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing yet. Mainly a good thing. You guys know how it is. Last legal form of slavery, I call it. Yes, it's comedy. It's undefeated. Leave me alone. It's somewhat true. My girlfriend is no longer my girlfriend. I call her B and C. She's been upgraded to ball and chain. I'm happy. I'm actually happy, man. I think it's a good move and excited. Excited to say the least. Not as excited as some Las Vegas A's fans. Yeah, you heard it here first. A's fans are in Las Vegas. I mean, they're talking about a new team, a Major League Baseball team, more winning in Vegas, unless you're the Raiders, more winning in Vegas. Coming. I honestly think it'll change the trajectory of the A's because Major League Baseball is completely different. It's not like other leagues. Money wins. Like, look at the last 5 champions. They were all top spenders in free agency. They were all top spenders in cap space. Or yearly salary, basically. They don't really have a cap. It's crazy. Crazy. Want to thank you, Taryn Rodriguez, Larry. Thank you guys for joining the show. As always, you guys are great teammates. Go A's. Yeah, Larry's excited. Something new, right? Taryn brings up Pro Volleyball Federation announced the name of the Las Vegas team, the Vegas Thrill. What do you think of the name? That's interesting. Thrill. I think they could have done better. I mean, I get it. Tell me. I mean, they could have gone to there's the Vegas Ramblers, which I'm fine with that. That's been fine. They've won a title. They've earned it. I would have rather it been more Vegas themed, right? Like, I don't know, the Vegas Magicians, or you know what I'm saying? Just something where you talk about the attractions. That are in Vegas. Like, just name it after, the theme of attractions that are in Vegas. The Thrill, I don't know. And I get it. Maybe going to Vegas in their mind is a thrill. But when I think of the Vegas Thrill, I'm thinking, are we going to see a bunch of people walking around in zombies costumes dancing to Thriller? That's just my thoughts, Taryn. I'm not downing them. I'm just saying I don't know about the name. It's a little suspect. UNLV women's volleyball didn't make the NCAA tournament. Correct. They did not. But made the NIVC, which isn't too bad for that team being in a little bit of a rebuild for the first-year head coach. Correct. First-year head coach. I think that whole team in general exceeded expectations. I think there's a few UNLV teams exceeding expectations, but yes. Taryn says, my suggestions was Vegas Royals, Vegas Rattlers, Vegas Roadrunners. Interesting. Yeah. But it could have been any of those. What's the state bird of Nevada? Let's take a look at that. I know it sounds weird, but mountain bluebird. I would never guess that, by the way. Mountain bluebird is the state bird. So, I mean, what was wrong with the Vegas bluebirds? Doesn't make sense, actually. I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of names that could have. Let's take a look at the list of names. Let's see here. List of names for Vegas volleyball team. So Vegas Thrill was chosen. Let's see if there were any others that were listed. But you're right, Taryn. Like, UNLV had an excellent year, and I would say this for first year. I mean, they weren't like complete winners. I think they were barely above 500, but you got to give it to a first year head coach. They're trying to rebuild a culture, and I think they exceeded a lot of expectations. The other thing is, I would say this, man. That is not the only UNLV team that is kicking ass right now. The UNLV Rebels, Fighting Rebels, the football team, they're 9-3. They're number one in the Mountain West. And I apologize because I should have been giving, more of an I should have been talking more about this. Like 100% should have been talking more about this because this is kind of crazy. Um, they're 9-3. They're kicking ass. They're taking names, right? Um, we talked about. So let's look at it. Their losses right now are Fresno State, San Jose State. I don't think they should have lost to San Jose State, but I mean, whatever. Things happen when it's a divisional game. Anything could happen. I don't think San Jose State's very good. It says they're first in the Mountain West too. Oh, they're probably tied for conference wins. Um, but technically, the tiebreaker would go to UNLV as far as like at the end of the season, due to the fact that they have more wins because both teams have more conference wins. But actually, the tiebreaker would likely go to San Jose State to win the conference. I don't think that'll be the case though, because record matters. Um, Michigan, everybody loses to Michigan, including Ohio State. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry, man. Quick pro quo. Side note. I'm so happy to live in the misery of Ohio State fans right now. I mean, they did absolutely everything they could to lead the charge on this whole sign stealing garbage that's going on. And it's garbage, guys. And I say it in terms of, if you are a team that is complaining about sign stealing, you are a bunch of losers. Michigan is probably one of the more complete football teams we've seen in a long time. They're probably one of the only teams I think it could truly beat Georgia in the national title game if they meet. They're that good. The best thing that could happen to Michigan right now is that Florida State wins the ACC title. Michigan and Florida State battle at 2 and 3, and we see Washington or Oregon, which I think it'll actually be Oregon. Oregon at 4. They'll probably get pummeled by Georgia. Hey, what a matchup that would be, by the way. Side note, what a matchup that would be. Georgia versus Oregon. Dan Lanning versus his old mentor, Kirby Smart. That'd be an amazing matchup of coaches. And you could tell. So Oregon's not going to lay down. They're a really good football team. They're big. They're huge. They're one of the biggest, most athletic teams in all of college football. That'd be amazing. Florida State would get absolutely mollywopped. I mean, they got a ton of talent, but they don't have Jordan Travis anymore. That's why I'm not quite certain Florida State makes it past this weekend. I just don't see it. Louisville's really good this year. Louisville's kicking ass and taking names. Right? Jeff Brom has done an amazing job in his first year at Louisville. And it's only going to get better, and it's because he's got a ton of passion. He graduated from there. I mean, we know the guy's a really good quarterbacks coach. He's an offensive guru in a lot of ways. I don't know, man. Louisville's likely going to beat Florida State. If that's the matchup for the ACC title, and I think it is. I think that's the matchup for the ACC title. But Michigan is one of the only losses that UNLV experienced this year. San Jose State and Fresno State. Fresno State was very good this year as well. They are higher flying as always. They've been like that since David Carr in the early 2000s. Like, Fresno State just finds ways to put up points. I think it also helps that they're in California. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's nice weather year-round for the most part. That helps a ton. They get a lot of football in, a lot of practice in. Yeah, and I just think that's a program that's known for winning. I don't know if that's a program that'll ascend. By the way, Fresno State, I don't know if it'll ascend. I do think that UNLV is on the cusp, especially from what we're seeing this year. They're 9-3 right now. They play Boise State this week. If they beat Boise State, you're looking at a 10-3 record, because this is the Mountain West Championship, right? They're playing Boise State in the Mountain West Championship. If UNLV wins, they're going to get a decent bowl game, like a decent one, like probably before Christmas or just after Christmas type bowl game. It'll be worth a watch. The surprise this year, Brumfield has not had a lot of time playing. Brumfield was the starting quarterback last year. He threw for a lot of yards. He played really well under the old head coach. Maeva, I think is his name. And I think Brumfield got hurt this year, but Maeva's taken over, and he hasn't looked back since. Playing very well. I think he's a sophomore as well. So UNLV, we've talked about it for the last year and a half since the show started. They're on the up and up. I didn't quite agree with the departure of Marcus Arroyo when they departed with him, because I mean the guy was just kind of given a short end of the stick. And what I can tell you is the now head coach out of Missouri. I'm sorry, I'm blanking all of a sudden. I've said his name 100 times on the show. He's benefiting from a roster that was formed quite a bit by Marcus Arroyo, a defensive guy. Because this is a defensive-minded head coach. I mean, he came from Missouri as a defensive coordinator. Missouri's playing really well this year. Another side note, man, there's a lot of shout-outs. There's a lot of reason to give shout-outs this year. And I just think overall, sports in general, they're in a really good spot. And we should all be extremely happy for the way, sports are turning out. Another side note, I went to a Utah game this last weekend. Salt Lake City is crazy. They're good. They're great. Great fan base. Constantly jumping around. I will say this. Their stadium is sketchy. It's steep. One of the steepest stadiums I'd ever stepped into, and I'm sure it's not the steepest, but it's one of the steepest, was Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, it feels like if you take one wrong step, you are falling for 20 to 30 rows. Salt Lake City might be worse. What's even creepier, there's about 70, 72 rows up, right, in Salt Lake. Rice-Eccles Stadium is the name of the stadium. If you guys get a chance, take a look at it. Again, the place is hopping. It's nuts. The student section is dope. It's like basically right on top of the field. There isn't a bad seat in the house. It's constructed in a way where you are seeing over the people in front of you, whether you're standing or sitting. Like, it's really good. I didn't miss a single thing, and we were at row 60. So really cheap tickets, by the way. They were like $53, I think, a piece. And we were able to get, row 60, but we had one of the best views in the house, and I don't think people would disagree. But after row 35, it is bent steel for stadium seating. You guys heard that here. Bent steel. Now, granted, they have the large, massive steel posts and steel frame underneath all of that. But when you're walking up, once you get past row 35 and you're walking up, you can hear the sound of the metal echoing because there's nothing underneath it. It's just being supported by a bunch of large steel braces underneath. It's crazy. The footings, from the other thing I would say that's really unique about this stadium is you can walk all the way around the stadium. You can walk all the way around it. There's a quarter of the stadium, so I would say that's the west entrance. The west entrance, west gates. That is an outdoor kind of concourse that you can walk. But for the most part, everything's covered 3/4 of the way. You can walk around the entire stadium. It only seats about 70,000 people, but man, it's in the altitude and it is built to be loud. Utah was a great experience. And I encourage a lot of people that listen to the show, don't just stick to your area. Get around, and college football is crazy everywhere. It's awesome. Next year, my significant other, my fiance, and I are looking at going to the Iron Bowl game because I hear that is one of the greatest games in the world to watch on a year-to-year basis. And it's probably going to get better because Auburn's likely going to have a new coach. But yeah, a lot of good things going on in Vegas right now. The A's are something that could be a thing that could happen. I stumbled across an article, and this article talked about, the A's were unanimously approved, and I mean every single owner unanimously gave the A's their blessing to move to Vegas. The $300 million relocation fee as of right now has been waived. The biggest hurdle, the things that I'm reading about, and this was all written by Mike Previtt. Again, this is KNPR, State of Nevada. It's Nevada Public Radio. So basically they're PBS, I would imagine, but they're basically just doing an article in general over the new addition to Vegas sports. The Las Vegas A's are approved to move there. The hurdle is, where's the funding going to come from? Because as of right now, and we've talked about it a few times on the show, the owner is not necessarily looking to, like, Fisher is not looking to put up the remainder of the funds. So this is what we're looking at as of right now, okay? It is a $1.5 billion stadium. Crazy because it's only $400,000 cheaper than the Raiders, basically Taj Mahal, if you will, the Death Star. I mean, that Allegiant Stadium's unbelievable. But this stadium's only going to cost $1.5 billion. Nevada is going to give the owner $380 million. It's essentially tax-free. On top of that, they have an unbelievable lease plan that is dirt cheap for an owner. That way, this team can own essentially all the concessions and things like that, right? So the A's are set up to make a lot of money. The issue is they have to come up with another $1.1 or $1.2 billion to make sure that this entire project goes through. And two things got to happen. Fisher, the owner of the A's, has to be willing to go out and get loans or private investors for his $1.1 billion share of the expense, right? That's not something he's necessarily been committal about. I think that this guy honestly believes that they deserve $500 million or $700 million. Like, it's another billionaire that really overvalues its product. The A's have stunk for years, okay? Major League Baseball is nowhere near the type of investment that an NFL team is. The World Series doesn't travel as many as Super Bowl fans. The World Series likely doesn't travel as many fans as the NFL draft does. The NFL is a license to print money right now. Major League Baseball, and this is probably what Fisher was hoping for more money. I just laugh at it because Major League Baseball it looks like it's declining, man. Viewership's going down, interest, attendance. There's one thing, there's way too many damn games. Way too many games. They just don't capture the interest all the time until the very end of the year when you're hunting for the playoffs. So I don't know what Fisher was totally thinking. What I think is going to happen here, and that $380 million, guys, by the way, was an amazing investment because it's $380 and that lease. It's basically worth $500 million, this investment that they're putting in because of the leasing. Like, Vegas is losing out on a ton of money by leasing that land super cheap to Fisher and to get this stadium built. They want the A's to come there, but not at the same expense as the Raiders. There's just no way. The Raiders got double the money, and they deserved it. So yeah, and the other thing is apparently there's a union back schools over stadiums referendum that could go on the ballot in 2024. So basically the promised funding of $380 million could be reversed if the teacher union backed, if this petition goes through and the union backed teachers are supported by the courts. Can you believe that? Like, there's a world where a bunch of teachers could come in and just completely ruin sports. Now, granted, I feel for the teachers, man, because their job is not easy. They deserve more funding. They all deserve to get paid more for what they deal with. I would say like this. So far from what I'm reading in this article, there are a lot of backers for the A's, right? Nearly every business model in Vegas wants the A's because it's going to bring tourism, because it's going to bring more people, especially the restaurant or the culinary arts in Vegas. They want people there because they're going to visit restaurants if Vegas has a team. I would be shocked if this doesn't happen. I would be shocked if Fisher doesn't go the extra mile, and it's up to him, by the way. Like, that's his job. He needs to go out and get funding if he's not going to put up the money himself. He's a billionaire. He has the ability, probably has the ability to do it, and he would probably see a huge return if he put up that money. But looking for investors, that's kind of how rich people stay rich, man. They have other people pay for their stuff. It's that simple. And then they find a way to get a percentage of earnings so they can make that money and then some. But yeah, the A's are. I mean, it's something that could very well happen. The issue is, will the funding be there? Will Mr. Fisher, who is the owner of the A's, will he go the extra mile in making sure that everything goes through and he finds funding? That's the only hang up with the A's. We're going to go to break here. When we get back, we're going to dive right into Las Vegas Golden Knights, and we're going to touch base on the Raiders. Has Antonio Pierce earned the head coaching job? We'll talk about that here when we get back on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Down! Green team! Set! Hey!
What's going on, football fans? This is Muir Larry B inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Welcome back to the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back from the break. That is the best drop in IE Sports Radio. It's hilarious. The sound cuts in and out a little bit there, but I can tell you guys right now, those two guys, Adam Karnick and company, man, they do a great job over there in the Neutral Zone. Make sure you guys tune in. Taryn Rodriguez He does Set Point. So our actual volleyball show. He's expert analysis, man. The guy shows up to every game. Every game he can. He covers a lot of teams, and he does it basically on his dime. So he does a great job, amazing job. SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'm sure he's crapping on the Chargers over there, and Brandon Staley does a great job. Larry, who also tuned in today, not only is he the man, the myth, the legend behind IE Sports Radio, but he runs the Defining Moment. He has Three and Out College Edition. I mean, he goes on and on. The sports couples perspective with his lovely wife Cecilia. I mean, they do a great job. In general, we got great teammates. We got people that put in a lot of effort in the show, and they give you great coverage. And maybe it isn't backed by the big listers, right? The big companies. But there are always ways to catch our shows. For example, you could always go to Spotify, Apple Pods, Google Podcasts, Spreaker. There's apps everywhere that's free access. Just click like, click follow on all of our shows, especially the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. If you miss any shows, because that'd be the way to catch up on any of the news that we provide. Our team does an excellent job, and I know this isn't a paid program. I'm not being asked to say this stuff. The chat's blowing up at all times, and they do a great job. Taryn says, LOL, Brandon Staley doing a great job. Maybe to you. Oh, no. I didn't say Brandon Staley's doing a great job. I didn't say that. Brandon Staley makes it easier for Raiders, Chiefs, and Broncos fans. And we appreciate that because Justin Herbert's a god. He's a demigod. He's just playing for the wrong coach. He won't be there. Let me ask you this, Taryn, because you're a Chargers fan. And you won't like it, but the possibility's there. What the hell happens when Bill Belichick gets fired and the Chargers hire Bill Belichick? Like, if I'm Bill Belichick and I'm looking to win now and win a Super Bowl, I'm looking at a boatload of talent over there in Los Angeles. Yes, the division is horrible, but dude, straight up, Bill Belichick with the Chargers, especially if he kept Kellen Moore as an OC, and they just kind of did some sprinkling in of the Patriots' old offense, which is the run and gun, basically, that would be some scary stuff. Like, Bill Belichick could do some amazing things with the defensive players you have on that roster. And if you were to keep Kellen Moore, or maybe bring even, and you aren't going to like to hear this, but Josh McDaniels is an excellent OC. We know that. Maybe Bill O'Brien gets an opportunity elsewhere. They get Justin Herbert. I mean, the talent is unreal in LA. Like, there's no reason for this losing season. And there's no excuse, I should say. The reason is Brandon Staley and his coaching job. He's done a horrible job there. And the thing I hate about him is he always has an excuse. Or he'll blame analytics. Like, hey, the analytics said we should have done this. Well, it didn't make football sense. Going for it on 4th and 1 inside of your own 30 isn't very smart. 2 years ago, Raiders playoff contingent game. That's not smart at all. The analytics do not say go for it on 4th and 1 on your own 30. No analytics say that because you're just putting a team on the fringe of scoring, whether it's a field goal or not, from the 30-yard line. So Brandon Staley drives me nuts. But I'm not kidding, man. Belichick is the greatest coach ever. And actually, I agree with that too, Taryn. So here's the thing. Jim Harbaugh and his posse, Jim Harbaugh and his representatives have expressed interest in the Raiders job specifically. That's the only job that we know of right now. If there was a job, and I'll say this because I'm a Raiders fan. I cover the Raiders here for the Vegas Sin City Sports Show. I would tell you right here, right now, if I'm Jim Harbaugh or if I'm an available coach and I'm heavily sought after, I'm picking LA before Las Vegas right now. I think that Las Vegas has the ability to build a long-term option that is much better than the Chargers. What's up, Marcus? Thank you for joining the show. I think that the Las Vegas Raiders have a better option and better chance of building long-term success if they get the right people because of the cap, no state income tax, Vegas is a very desirable place for people to live. California right now, people are moving out of California, man. They're not staying there. They're moving away from California because of the taxes and all that other jazz. Los Angeles is extremely expensive to live. Vegas is a better long-term option, but if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I know I'm in my 60s. I believe he's in his 60s, and I want to win. I'm tying my cart to the horse that has one of the most talented quarterbacks in our league, and that's Justin Herbert. So you're onto something, Taryn. I this sounds crazy to say this. Belichick is more likely because it seems like with everything I've read, read online, you know, watched on YouTube, people who cover the Patriots, Bill's probably coaching his last season in a Patriots uniform, and it's unbelievable to say that. But he's going to be heavily sought after because he didn't forget football. He didn't forget how to teach it. His issue was he was a GM, and they should have removed the GM title from him and said, "Hey, Bill, we're gonna hire a football operations guy. You could still be in charge, but he's going to make the final roster decisions and draft picks for you. That way you can focus on coaching." That's what Robert Kraft should have done, but he didn't. I think the next team, so the Chargers say, "Hey, we got a good GM," because they do a great job of finding talent and signing talent. The GM's going to make the player picks. You just coach the team, but you have you can do whatever you want as far as coaching is concerned. That would be the dream job for Belichick, and I honestly, with Justin Herbert, that'd be scary. Belichick, when he won, he had an elite quarterback, Brady, right? Brady. Elite quarterback, top 10 defense. That wouldn't change if they decided to go to Justin Herbert. They'd have an elite quarterback. They could have a top 10 defense with the talent they have. That's just my 2 cents, Taryn. Tell me if I'm crazy, but if I'm Harbaugh, I'm picking Las Vegas. If I'm Harbaugh and I want to win now, I'm picking LA. Las Vegas just has more potential, is what I'm saying. And it's not because I'm a Raiders fan. I think LA is a bit much, and you're splitting a stadium, all that stuff. You're sharing revenue. I don't like it. I don't like the situation. The best part of that Chargers job is going to be Justin Herbert and his availability. The other best part is you don't have to get rid of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert are doing an excellent job. They're scoring points. The defense is just allowing too many points at the end of games. Like, I can't tell you how many times over his career I have watched the cameras go straight to Justin Herbert's face after he scores a go-ahead touchdown, and he's watching his defense just straight up piss down their legs. Like, easily a dozen times. I've seen that happen. Justin Herbert has no support over there, man. And I'm with Rex Ryan. You're a defensive head coach, and your defense sucks. You're not going to keep your job when that's the case. Brandon Staley is going to be a goner. He had no excuses. There's talent all over that roster, man. It's just ridiculous. But that's that with the Chargers. The Raiders, on the other hand, man, I'm going to say it like this. Antonio Pierce, because it's the hot topic right now. Antonio Pierce has done an excellent job with this team so far. Let me tell you why. When you watch these games, you see a totally different team. You see a team that is actually competitive. With Josh McDaniels, we didn't see a competitive team. We saw a team make a lot of mental errors, poor fundamentals, and at times there just wasn't effort. And I think a lot of it was people just didn't want to play for Josh McDaniels. Maybe that's what Mark Davis figured out. It just wasn't a good culture. Pierce has come in and said, "Hey, we're going to do things the Raider way. We're going to play physical. We're going to play tough. We're going to play with speed. We're going to do it together, win or lose." That's why he started out 2-0 as an interim coach. He's now fallen to 2-2. The one things I've said this a couple times about Antonio Pierce, in my opinion, think that if they continue to stay competitive the way they were at the Chiefs early on, and the way they were at the Dolphins, which is a very good football team, those are their 2 losses, right? If they continue to stay competitive in games, especially against good teams, I believe Antonio Pierce would deserve a shot. If Jim Harbaugh isn't 100%. If Jim Harbaugh is 100%, I do not know how Mark Davis doesn't make that happen. I think Mark Davis has to be honest and say, hey, Champ Kelly is going to stay on, and he's going to pick players for you and build a great roster for you. You just need to coach them to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm looking at in that point of view. But Jim Harbaugh has won everywhere he goes. I don't understand the vitriol. I don't understand the BS that you hear online, on Twitter, the Ohio State crap that was hilarious. Like, what a rub in their face, dude. Like, what a way to take hot sauce and just straight up squirt it in their eyes, dude. They fueled this whole cheater thing from the very beginning because it's Ohio State and they don't like Michigan. Like, Michigan wasn't the best football team when they played those teams the last few years. And they cried over sign stealing, man. There are teams that use the same signals because guess what? That offensive coordinator has been hired away from that other team's offensive staff, and it's vice versa, and it's rotational, and it's defense, offense, special teams. Everybody knows a lot of people's signals, man. To make it a big deal because Michigan's winning a lot, it's ridiculous. It didn't help them that much. I promise you, Michigan was just a more talented, better coach team. Jim Harbaugh wins everywhere he goes. I don't care that he's quirky. I don't care that he's weird. Because he gets results. San Diego State, 10 wins a year. Well, with the exception of the first year, it was rebuild year. Stanford, 10 plus wins a year, with the exception of year one. And he was able to attract Andrew Luck, one of the greatest talents we've ever seen. He just couldn't finish his career because the Colts did a horrible job of keeping him healthy. The Niners, dude, need I say more? Look what he did with Alex Smith and all that. He's a great coach, man. He's a great coach. He really is. It seems like everywhere he goes, there's a question of loyalty. There's a question of can he get it done? And all he does is win. He took the Niners to almost, was it 3 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl? They didn't win the Super Bowl, but they went to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. He made Alex Smith look like a number 1 draft pick all over again. Got Alex Smith paid in Kansas City. Jim Harbaugh knows what he's doing, man. And every team he has, dude, even though he's an offensive guy, every team he has an unbelievable defense. The Niners had an unbelievable defense. Remember when Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis? I mean, dude, are you serious right now? Those are two of the better linebackers we've ever talked about in NFL history. We're on the same team. You made Alex Smith look like a superstar for a little while because he went 13-3 2 straight seasons. Michael Crabtree, who wasn't that great in all honesty, drafted number 1 or in the first round by the Niners, made Crabtree look really good. I don't know, man. Run game was always excellent with Jim Harbaugh. They always played tough, but their defenses were always tough as nails. It doesn't matter where Jim Harbaugh goes, his defenses absolutely destroy people. They blitz well. They sack the quarterback a lot. They cause turnovers. They've done it at Michigan. They did it in San Francisco. They did it at Stanford. They also did it at San Diego State. Everywhere Jim Harbaugh goes, even though he's an offensive guy, his defenses are excellent. And that's something the Raiders sorely need because right now their defense has improved. I think Patrick Graham's done an excellent job. They've come from like 27 to 19 in one offseason, and they still don't have a lot of talent on that defense, which tells me the scheme works, the players are being taught the fundamentals at a deeper level, and they're starting to master that in year 2. Patrick Graham, I would believe, would deserve to stay. I think Jim Harbaugh would benefit from him staying. I do believe that he would need to look for a new offensive coordinator. There could be some really good names open. There could be a situation where I don't know, like so Bill, we don't know if Bill's going to stay. Right? If Bill goes to the Chargers, we don't know if he's going to take Bill O'Brien. That'd be a great option for Jim Harbaugh. Both coaches with college and professional experience. Bill O'Brien's actually a great play caller. He really is. He was a horrible GM for the Texans, but he's an excellent play caller. And even though the Patriots are doing poorly, I don't think play calling is the issue on the offensive side. I just think it's the dudes there. Bill O'Brien would be a great addition. Vic Fangio, if he could somehow get him away from his current situation, I'm sure Vic Fangio would love to coach with Jim Harbaugh again. Jim Harbaugh's just the guy. In my opinion, Jim Harbaugh is the dude, unless he is not 100% sure. If he's 95% sure or 90% sure and he's kind of playing the field again, like he did with Michigan the last time, screw it. But I think Jim Harbaugh's kind of sick of the Michigan stuff. I don't think Michigan really fought for Jim Harbaugh the way they should have. Again, over sign stealing. It'd be different if they were doing some serious recruiting violations. That's not the case. It was sign stealing, man. Another team got caught using the same signals for a long period of time, and they got pissed. And yes, they did send some guys in the scouting department to go check out games. I don't use it as an excuse, dude. You still got to stop it. You still got to stop it. And that's kind of where I'm at as a coach. I don't care if people know my signals. I really don't. You have to play better than the players I coach. Which I can tell you right now, we do 30 to 35 minutes of indie every practice. They get mad amounts of reps. That's how I know it'd be very difficult to say that. I love the options. I like having options open. Would Antonio Pierce be a good coach long term? I think so. It seems as right now you could tell that this coaching staff, who's the last 2 weeks have come out absolutely swinging. They're swimming when it comes to halftime adjustments. They're swimming when it comes to game time adjustments. Because the Raiders were kicking the crap out of Kansas City. Kansas City made some adjustments, as Andy Reid always does. Him and his staff, Steve Spagnuolo, all those guys. They made adjustments, and it hurt the Raiders. The Raiders had to stay on top of it. I think that, I don't know. Just in general, Raiders have a ton of potential. I think either coach leads them to winning seasons. What I'm hesitant about is, can we really give the reins on a 2-year prove-it deal to a guy like Antonio Pierce that doesn't have a head coaching experience except for now, obviously? I don't know, man. I don't know. This is my opinion. If Harbaugh isn't 100% sure, give Antonio Pierce a 2-year prove-it deal. 2 years, $5 million a year to be the head coach. If they have a winning season in those 2 years and it looks like it's projecting upwards, then you extend him. That's what I would say. But that is only if Jim Harbaugh is not 100% in. Because that dude you want in a Raiders uniform, and he's got experience with our Raiders team. I think him and Mark Davis have a quality relationship. I'd be shocked if Jim Harbaugh leaves. So I'll say it like this. I'd be shocked if Jim Harbaugh is the Raiders' next head coach. I only say that because it's too good to be true right now. I don't know if he's going to leave Michigan. I think he's got a smooth job right now. I think they're doing a great job there. They've won 3 straight. They did one without him on the sideline. That just tells you how much growth and coaching that he provides to his coaching staff as well. Just in general, I think Jim Harbaugh is he's an excellent candidate. But Antonio Pierce wouldn't be bad either. Really. He wouldn't be bad. Give him a 2-year prove-it deal. Let's see what happens. That's if Jim Harbaugh isn't 100% sure. As far as play is concerned, man, it's been a more competitive football team. They're running the ball better. I mean, Josh Jacobs had that 63-yard touchdown in the last game, which was amazing to watch. The offensive line completely filled every gap or pushed somebody out of every gap, and it was wide open, man. Like, Josh Jacobs shouldn't have been caught, right? I don't think he did. I'm just saying in general, he shouldn't have been caught. It was impressive. this team is more competitive. The Raiders are more competitive right now with Antonio Pierce. They're 2-2. They're 500. Let's take a look at the Raiders. Let's take a look at the Raiders' upcoming schedule. Okay, so, I don't know if I like that, but we're all about honesty. This week is a bye week. This is the Raiders' bye week. This is great. This gives them an opportunity to take 2 weeks and prepare for the Vikings, who will be visiting the Raiders. It won't be an easy game. The Chargers are down. The Raiders could win the next 2 games. Antonio Pierce could go into the Chiefs game, the second Chiefs game, 4-2. If they're competitive there, and Antonio Pierce finishes with a winning record, I think Mark Davis is going to have a hard time firing him or letting him go, right? And he doesn't even have to do that. He could say, hey, I'm going to hire such and such. I would really like you to stay on as this. Bring up a value package for him. These colleges have so much money. They shouldn't even shy away from spending it. They really do. These athletic departments have so much money, especially from a football perspective. Don't be afraid to pay your coaches, man. Don't pay somebody $125K a year and expect them to give you millions of dollars worth of revenue. It's not how that works. It's not how it should work, right? Should be a really good checks and balances, and there just really isn't right now. Man, this hour went by fast. I can't believe how quickly that went by. You guys know what it is. You guys understand what time it is. I mean, this is the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We talk all things Raiders. We talk all things Vegas here on the Sin City Sports Show. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_IESR, at Kale_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. As stated early in the show, do not miss a show with IE Sports Radio, especially the Sin City Sports Show. Go to Spreaker, Apple Pods, Google Pods, Spotify. Like, follow, share these shows. It's free. We're not asking for money. It's free. Share the shows, show some support, listen to the episode over and over. Let's bump them algorithms, man. Las Vegas Ramblers 2024 season is underway. Thank you, Taryn. As always, man, you're a great teammate. Thank you so much for tuning in. Marcus, thanks for tuning in. Larry, as always, you're the man. This is the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And as always, folks, love, peace, and hair grease.